Hello, I'm Steven, the calculator guy, and last video I talked about short farming, which is effectively where you collateralize some stablecoins, then borrow a token you want to short against it, and then farm that token against a stablecoin on something like Beefy or any farm really. You can do the compounding by yourself if you'd like to, it doesn't really matter. So effectively, you're shorting a token and you're farming it. That's it, right? You expect it to go down, and as it goes down, you're also sort of getting an APR and APY on that. Now, I said this is a strategy that you can use as opposed to direct shorting. Direct shorting is where you borrow an asset, you short the asset, you sell it immediately for stablecoins, and then you buy it back at a lower price. So let's look at a graph and just see what that would look like, right? So let's say we bought, here's net. Net was what we talked about in the last video. Let's say we bought it at $4, so we bought it back on the 14th of this month. We just bought it, we sold it, right? And then we waited until now to buy it back. Well, now it's half the price. So if we bought $1,000, we could buy that back for $500 now. We make a $500 profit. That's direct shorting, right? Direct shorting. Short farming is where you would have split that asset in half immediately and then started farming that pair for some sort of APY or APR yield. Now, this gives you a little bit more up-down protection, especially up protection. However, it is still a form of shorting. One of the other caveats is that it can be less profitable than direct shorting in a very bearish market. So we're going to look at that because guess what, guys? I made a calculator for it. Probably none of you are surprised. That's okay. So this is my short farm calculator. You can see its sort of purpose is to tell you if a direct short is better or if if short farming is better based off of your own personal speculation on some assets. So we're going to use the Solana chain because there's a potential opportunity here with Tulip, Solend, and Ray. The Ray token is sort of like a farm token. It's an emission token, and we can look at the chart for that. Here's the Ray chart. Be careful, 29 million market cap, kind of low. So, you know, and low liquidity, 400,000. So there is some ability for this to pump out of nowhere. So you don't necessarily want to have the highest LTV when you start this. What I mean is you don't want to take out a very, very big loan against your collateral because in the event that it goes up by 30 or 40%, you can get liquidated. So here, right, we're definitely in a downtrend overall, even before the November peak. So this looks like a good asset to short. Would have been a great asset to direct short, but we can also do short farming, and we can see which one is better based off of our predictions. So we're currently at $2.65. So that's what we're gonna do. We're gonna say $2.65. It's already down a percent since yesterday. Wow, just based off changing that, it turns into a short farming is a better option. Okay, so here what we're doing is we're adding blue for all my calculators will always be inputs, green will always be outputs, nothing has changed. So blue, this only works against stablecoins because for shorting the market in general, I am of the opinion that it is best to use a stablecoin as the collateral. However, I know many people would rather use Bitcoin, rather use Ethereum. I am going to build that option in. It's just not available currently. Well, I hope to build that option in, right? I don't make promises I can't keep. That's why I don't make promises ever. I try to get to some things, but there are many things I can't get to. So I will try to build that into this, God willing. So here we have USDT. We're going to borrow Ray. So this is the long, this is the short. The lent amount, this is how much you're going to collateralize, and you would collateralize that on Solend, for example. Honestly, you could do UST, which is kind of cool because it gets paid out in Luna as well. You're getting paid not only in UST supply APY, you're also getting paid in Luna rewards. That's pretty cool. Kind of neat. And then you can borrow Ray against it for a 34% APY on that. Now that of course is negative APY. You're paying that, or effectively what's really happening is your borrow is increasing in amount, and when it increases in amount, it increases in LTV, which means you have to pay back more. That's how that works. I get that question a lot. So let's say borrow. I think it's like 35% now. 35%. We can even let's even do UST. So we have because we can, right? So that's 10%. Okay, and you'll see that now all of the names now change to USD. Okay, cool. So Ray, borrow, we're going to say 2200 just because it gives us an LTV around 58%, which is a little risky, to be honest, but I think it's reasonable for someone who's really bearish on the market. So here we go. We have all of these blue things entered, right? The lent amount, lent APY, borrow amount, borrow APY, initial price of Ray, which we just got from the chart, and then liquidation LTV, which you can get just by clicking on the asset, clicking on more parameters. No, sorry, not there. Click on UST, click on more parameters, and the liquidation threshold is 85%. So that is liquidation LTV. That's what we throw in there. Liquidation LTV just means the percentage of the borrowed thingy. So you borrowed Ray. When the borrow value becomes 85% of your collateralized value, you will begin to be liquidated. So if the borrow increases in value, the LTV increases, and when it hits 85%, you get wrecked. So the cool thing is this calculator tells you at what price that would happen. So it is going to be at $3.86. So we're currently at $2.65. At $3.86, you start to get liquidated. And that is a 46% increase in price. So if the price increases by 46%, which is pretty dramatic, then you would get liquidated. The liquidation process would begin. I don't know if they do partial liquidations on Solend, but I think they might. Okay, so borrow fiat value is 5,830. Initial LP. So these are automatically generated. It's just a 50-50 split. If you want to enter these manually, you can, because I understand slippage exists, but on Solana, really slippage is pretty low in most cases, and fees are really tiny. But so this is really just meant to make your life easier. But if you want to manually enter these, of course you can. They're currently just mathematically generated by splitting the borrow in half. Okay, so that's all the initial values. The future values, this is the speculative side of things, has 3 inputs. And yes, now I do have a baby. She woke up. Such is life. So if you see me padding things, as always, it is the baby. So here we have 3 inputs. We have days out, which is the days into the future that we want to look at. We have the farm APY, which in this case we'll say is 190. You can get that straight from Tulip if you want to. Now, it says USD, it's USDT. Oh, it's actually gone, not Solana, sorry. Ray, here we go. It says 523. It's really not that high. And the way you would find out what it actually is just click on the farm here. We're going to use the max Ray because we're just going to deposit our Ray that we borrow right into here. And then we can click simulator and we can short the borrow however much we want. If you do this, you're sort of max betting on short, so because your maximum profit is like 50% of what it is now. And then, push it all the way to the end, push it to 365, and you'll see what the APR or APY is. It says 145, but actually here, that would be about 190, right? If we're betting on this area. And if you want to know what that is, you can just make the top go to the middle, and it says about 190. So there we go. There are many ways to look at this and speculate about this, but there you go, right? And yeah, that's pretty much it. Do remember that the red line means liquidation, so you can play around with that to see what you're comfortable with and what APR and APYs you're going to estimate. Anyways, so here I'm going to stick with 190 because I think that's about an approximation of where I think the APY would end up given my short predictions. Now I'm saying like in this speculative scenario, I'm not saying that's my own personal opinion. Okay, so future price, this is whatever you want to speculate on. We can say that it falls to $2. We can even say it falls farther, but at $2 in 50 days, the first thing you immediately see is that short farming is the best option, but let's see what goes into that. So future LTV is 44%. Future LP quantities, they just tell you your impermanent loss effectively, or what the new balance is going to be. Total LP value, this is how much that LP strategy is now worth. So remember we borrowed 3830, we put it into a farm. That farm is now worth 5860. Future borrow value, however, this is important. The future borrow value is 4403. That's what we have to pay back, right? We have to pay back 4403 because we borrowed 2200 Ray. Now we have to pay back, I guess 2,203 Ray, because that's how much the interest has accrued. So we have to pay back $4,403 worth of radium. So we have to pay back less. So if we did a pure direct short, we would have made a profit of 1,426. The short farm is 1,456, so it's only $30 more, but it is technically more. So the short farm is still technically better. And you earned $2.61 in interest over that time frame. So your net interest, technically negative $1.01, which means you paid more interest than you earned. That is to be expected because borrow interests are almost always higher than lend interests for probably what should be obvious reasons to anyone who understands lending and borrowing. Okay, so here's the juicy stuff. This is why these are slightly darker green. I'll zoom in. Can I zoom in? Yeah. Is this? No, I'm just going up and down. This isn't zooming in at all. Okay. I assume you guys can see pretty well. All right, so here, short farm profit direct short. Here's the profit as percents. So 14.56 in 50 days, 14.26 in 50 days. Now this is interesting, so pay attention here. The annualized ROI is 106%. So this is effectively what you would call your APR, or your what you would expect to make in a year using this if everything stayed consistent. Now clearly things can't stay too consistent, because if it continued to go down at that pace, it would have to be asymptotic decrease. Or you can even say exponential decrease in value, approaching zero but never getting to zero. However, with direct shorting, I guess I should make a line between these two things. With direct shorting, there is the maximum profit you can ever have if you're not doing something with your short is the LTV. Now this is assuming that the asset approximates zero. So let's say your whole 2,200 Ray that you borrowed ends up being worth virtually nothing. So you pay like $1 to get it all back, and then you repay your loan, and you get to keep the entire borrow as USDC. So you borrowed $5,830 effectively of Ray. You sold it for $5,830. Ray goes to $1 for a whole thing. You spend $1 to buy it back, repay your loan, and you keep all of this. You can't keep any more of that, right? You can't get any more than your initial LTV. So there's a cap on on direct short profits. You can only get your LTV. There is no cap on short farm profits. So that is one thing to consider when deciding whether you want to short farm or direct short. Now, clearly, if the price tanks quickly, a direct short is going to be better. So if it goes down to even $1.50, right? A direct short is going to be dramatically better. We have, instead of 17% profit in 50 days, we have 25% profit in 50 days. Now 50 days is actually a long time for this. I would say we probably get this in like, I don't want to be too bearish, but like, I don't know, 3 weeks I could see us hitting these kind of things, which means our annualized ROI is much better. But still 25% profit under that time frame versus 13% profit under that time frame. Just something to consider. The faster the drop, the more direct short is better. The slower the drop, like if we're going to short an asset like Cake, for example, Pancake Swap, which is kind of like a farm token, which has consistently gone down. We can even look at that chart. I talked about this in the last video. Actually, this is like the worst place to look at this, to be honest, because DexScreener has so many anomalies, like scam wicks built in. See this? Yeah, these are totally unhelpful. But here's kind of a daily chart. If log is off, yeah, I mean it's going down. You can see it's $21 here, it's $12 here, $6 here. So you can tell it's on a decline. Kind of an ugly graph. Yeah, there we go. Log actually makes it look a lot nicer. So this is a good asset to short. It has a really, really high market cap, so we're not going to get a ton of volatility. You can short this for sure, and we could even enter those numbers in. Actually, I know a few of those numbers offhand. I think Cake is like $6.51. Okay, $6.51. We need a reasonable LTV, so let's say we borrow 1,000. 65. Yeah, it's kind of a high LTV, but that's fine. Doesn't really matter. So let's just call this Cake. The Cake USDT. I mean, I'll say this is USDT. With an LP like 3% and 80% APY. Future price of cake, I think $5 is reasonable. Direct short still better. 30-day profit, 15%. That's really good, right? People are going crazy about yield nodes, 5% per month, which I think is really good. I definitely do, but especially in a bear market. But you know, if you can get 15% in a month from shorting, you know, cake, then wow, right? It's a great return on investment. 8% if you're short farming it. Still, wow, amazing return on investment. Most of that comes just from the shorting value, though. So remember, farming gives you a slightly more upward protection. It does not give your borrow protection against liquidation. It just gives you protection against having to buy back the asset. That's pretty much it, because you have less of the asset to buy back, because half of it is going to be in that farm. All right, so that's pretty much it, guys. This is how this works. There are a few under the hood things you can look at, you can check out. Like if you're interested in attempting to change this to BTC or ETH, you can do this with these if you want to figure out how all that works. But otherwise, I will eventually, maybe, hopefully, you know, God willing, integrate that. Even though personally, I will most likely, I know a lot of vagueness here, will most likely just be sticking to short farming against stables during these bearish market conditions. So that's it for now, guys. Hopefully this calculator is helpful for those of you who want to consider direct shorting or short farming, both of which I think are interesting options. Clearly you can direct short virtually any asset right now and you'll be doing pretty decent. I mean, even if you direct short Ethereum, I don't know why I typed that whole thing in. Sure, we'll look at the chart against Wrap Phantom, right? Why not? So, whoa, that's not good, but look at the daily chart. So here's the daily chart. Are we getting higher highs? No. Are we getting lower lows? Kind of with this big wick. But we'll see where this goes, right? I'm still bearish long term. We'll see what happens. It'd be nice if we saw a reversal. International conflicts can do a whole host of strange things to markets. We'll see what happens. So, okay. That's it. Thank you all so much for watching. As always, if you want earlier access to things that I build or videos about the things I build, those will be found on the Patreon. You can also ask me direct questions and I'll get back to you within 24 to 48 hours. You can also gain access to the premium Discord through the Patreon, where you have access to not just me, but also my team and all of the other premium members, many of whom are very informed in the DeFi space and actually add some intrinsic value there. Yeah, that's pretty much it for now. Thank you. Have a wonderful rest of your day. I know we're living in strange times, so do your best to verify everything, right? Fact check everything you hear, fact check everything you see. Look for a variety of news sources when you can. And, you know, be a seeker of truth when possible. That's all I can say. Thank you so much. I love you all. God bless.